I love that.
Okay.
Great. Love that.
Does everybody know the rules?
No, but your when you did like the Mixtape Therapy intro on YouTube.
Welcome to the greatest American art form, the mixtape. Mixtape, a homemade compilation of media typically from multiple sources recorded into a medium. Mixtape Therapy, a compilation of authentic conversations recorded by multiple people on my podcast. Our connections are experiences that we have, and I hope these mixtapes make us feel more connected. Remember, be authentic. They'll adjust.
Of like the, what is it? The greatest art form, or what was it?
World's greatest art form.
Oh, I'm like, oh, dude, I get that.
Well, I
totally
look,
get that.
I stole that from somebody, so it's not like.
Okay.
I was watching that. It was actually the mixtape and one, like the ESPN documentary.
The one, which one? About what happened?
About and one and how and one got started and all that whole thing.
The one on Netflix?
Yes.
You know, I was borderline to tears watching that.
Yeah, I figured it probably hit you somewhere.
I was the biggest and one fan and copycat, and I tried all of that stuff, bought all their stuff.
Listen to this
and
guy.
then it disappeared, and I was like, oh, that's sad. And then watching that documentary and just what happened, I was almost in tears. Almost in tears.
I gotta watch this. I didn't know there was such a big story behind the downfall.
Neither did I. That was crazy. I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Any hoozy. So they called the mixtape the greatest American art form, basically because it's something that like really anybody can do, whether it be music or videos and things like that, right?
It's an art that anyone can do.
Yeah. And so, this kind of like, asking these questions and talking about things is kind of like making a mixtape of highlights of like conversations and stuff, like our tough conversations or tough questions that somebody might have to deal with. And when you can find two people that can have a good conversation, like disagree and still respect or discuss, like it just kind of, to me, it teaches like, hey, like they're just conversations.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Love it.
So there's 4 subjects. Each of y'all is going to answer the question. Y'all can Indian leg wrestle or whatever y'all want to do to see who goes first. The subjects are the good, ding, the bad, ding, reflection, ding. I don't know why I'm doing the ding. And tough questions, ding.
I thought you were dinging for markers on the recording.
Oh no, I was trying to do like, don't they do that on Jeopardy? Then
Something like that. Every time a category shows up.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was
like
good.
Where the numbers pop up underneath of it.
All right. So who's picking a category first?
I mean, let's start with the good, right?
Are you so?
Let's start with
Brad,
the good.
Just so you know, Matt's going first.
This is so much fun.
Matt, what? Oh no, wait. I'm trying to think about how. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter. No, I guess it does. Matt, what could Brad do to make your life easier?
This is in the good pile. What?
Hey, you didn't. Hey, if you don't want to answer it, like
what can Brad do to make my life easier?
Okay, you want a different one. You want to answer that one?
We're really good.
Are we
friends,
married in this conversation?
I mean, he just came over last week and helped me move like the bunk bed. So I mean, he does a pretty good job.
So he's a friend.
Yeah. And in and of itself is making my life easier.
Yeah, that he's a good friend.
Yeah,
that wasn't hard. See.
Yeah.
Made it sound. Brad, what can Matt do to make your life easier?
I thought it was something that he's not already doing.
That could be it. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
What if I don't know. I don't know how close y'all are. That's what's so weird about it.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, I would say
close enough.
Okay.
Hey, whoa! This is great. Let's scrap that.
I do. I kind of want to hear that.
I got something.
Go, Brad.
It's nothing big. It's
go.
nothing big. I think we should get together more often.
See,
boys.
Look at there.
The boys. So you could send a text or something.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't think that's too much
to ask.
So giving you an excuse with the wife would be me making your life easier. Yeah, I can do that. I can fill that role for you.
I mean, I think you and your wife have a pretty good balance around stuff, don't you think, Brad?
Yeah, I think we do pretty good.
Can I?
Although.
You got to pee or what?
No. I have.
You okay? Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why am I talking? Go ahead.
You can finish.
I'm in debt this week because I was at a conference all week.
And he's still here.
And
thank you, Gabby.
I came to the podcast tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah. But that's okay because at the conference I won an Apple Watch and I gave it to Gabby.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
I was going to say the thing about like Brad and Gabby, if nothing else, from what I've seen and experienced, Brad and Gabby fight really well.
You think so?
What does that mean?
I think they fight well. Like it's not a nitpicky thing, and it's not this over dramatized or over like emotional or over like stripped it, but there's an issue and they're going to sort it out and then they're done. Like I don't ever get the feeling that Brad and Gabby hold grudges with each other. None of that. I feel like they are very healthy fighters. I really do. And it's a positive fight. Like they're fighting for the betterment of their relationship
Instead of
their
against
marriage,
it,
instead
or
of
against each other.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went there because by all means, you know, we have our times when somebody's feelings are hurt or somebody's feeling a certain way.
I'm married to a Mexican too, bro.
Right? There's a lot of emotions that come out.
Get it.
But even now, we started the new year. We decided to do this challenge, and part of this challenge was reading a book.
Yep.
And instead of reading junk, we decided to read a marriage book together. So every day we'll read 10 pages each, and maybe once a week we sit down and talk about it. And
it's great.
It's weird because it really puts a microscope on things where you're like, oh, we're doing some things right, we're doing some things wrong. But at the end of the day, like, I think if you're just willing to do that in your spare time, you're trying to do something together.
Yeah.
And so if your disagreements are trying to reach a solution together, and if you're, your spare time, you might be reading a book to like make everything better together, then I don't know. I figure we're on the right path at least.
Because we're even as a team at work, we're reading a book called Leadership Pain. And it literally, the concept is you will only grow to the threshold of your pain. So growth comes in the uncomfortable. Getting out of your comfort zone is the only place for growth and change and all that. So it's a similar like, have you ever seen Couples Retreat where Vince Vaughn is like, hey, bro, thanks for bringing me to Problem Island. So like reading a book like that, it's the same thing. It's kind of pulling the Band-Aid off of stuff you didn't even know was Band-Aided.
Well, let me just say that I have nothing against like a couple having a show that they watch together, right? But if that's all you're doing, you better get to fucking work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. At least, I mean, let's say it is a whatever trash TV or whatnot. At least spend the time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Do things that build the relationship. But spending any time talking about anything is step forward. You get to know what they like, what they dislike, what bugs them.
Look, I'm not trying to say that this is my ultimate goal when I watch a show with my girlfriend that I don't like, but I do ask a shit ton of questions like the whole time it's going on. And either one or two things are going to happen. Either we're going to have a conversation around it, which is really great because now we're talking, or she's going to ask me to leave.
Yeah.
And so either way I win.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
So let's do one more on this pile.
She starts asking questions during the Texans game.
Oh, you can ask plenty of questions during a Texans game because like they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Like there's not anything else going on. Okay, so this is great because we kind of already talked about it a little bit. Okay, and this y'all can decide who wants to go first because it's like a bonus question of the good since Matt didn't like the first one. What was your first impression of each other? Now, y'all said that y'all met at this.
Well, again, I fully admitted that Brad met me, and I had not yet met Brad.
What was your first impression of Brad at
Cooper's?
At Cooper's.
I mean, I did. Like, I saw him, and I'm like, my first, and it's hard to say what my impression of Brad was because I was in a sheer state of panic. Because even Audrey,
because he recognized you.
Yeah. Yeah. There is part of that. Because I didn't, I've never been everybody's favorite brand of bourbon, right? So if you're walking up to me like, hey, Matt, you're either going to punch me or you're going to hug me. Like it's one or the other.
Really quickly, I want you to name a person that you're not their favorite type of bourbon.
It depends on the setting. It depends on the setting. Remember, we actually.
I think that, I'm going to jump in here. I think that's all you. Brad, what do you think?
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
No. But I'm saying like, I think you think that you're not everybody's type of bourbon. I think you are everybody's type of bourbon. I wouldn't hang out with you if you weren't.
You remember we had kind of texted to where I just felt like people were kind of falling off.
Right.
And it wasn't like it wasn't a schedule thing. It just was, I don't know. I don't know. I just get that feeling that sometimes I can, I'll tell you.
But I don't think that's about you. I think that's about everybody else, right, Brad?
Yeah, that's not a personal thing. I mean, I've had relationships over time stick or others not.
Yeah.
and it just gets more difficult as life gets busier. And so that's not one of the things that you can take too personal.
Yeah.
You know, what you can do is take it upon yourself to attempt to like reach out and stuff.
Right.
But, you know, it only goes so far.
Look, I probably invite somebody to lunch and coffee like once a week. Ask me how many times I get canceled on.
Right.
All the time. Like,
Once-
I never
once a
stop,
week?
though. I'm not going to stop. Like, y'all got to fucking kill me to get rid of me.
Once a week, that's good. I have a New Year's resolution. Once a month, I want to spend some one-on-one time with a buddy. Once a month.
That's great.
Well, I mean, but this is
that's
like
few and far between. It seems
just
like,
like, you know, people that I'm not even really that close with. I'm just like, hey, do you want to get a coffee? Just really cool, smart, like just interesting people, right? Because I feel like it gives me some level of perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And like, you gotta like remember when you're doing that kind of thing, like it's not personal if that person, it's not, more than likely it's not about you if that person cancels. Because why would they make the commitment in the first place?
Yep.
And if they make the commitment in the first place and then they regret it for whatever reason, it still speaks a lot about them and not necessarily about you.
Right.
So your first impression of Brad was...
This is what I do remember. I remember not knowing who he was, but I do remember noticing...
He was ridiculously good looking.
Well, I was going to say, I remember his eyes, and he had this big, giant smile on his face. And I just remember seeing this huge smile, and he seemed very happy to see me. And I was like... All right, this guy seems okay. This guy seems all right.
I feel like the first time that I really remember us meeting, like we probably crossed paths, but like it was a very similar. I think that's very much him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah.
I must have liked you at the time, so I must have had a good impression of you at the time.
Do you remember your first impression of Matt? Like it was probably dancing or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I must have seen you out, and I think you were one of those types of dudes that I would sit on side rail and stare at and be like,
I want to be like him one day.
How do I learn that one? How do I do that one? Because I was a little creepery when I started.
You had to be.
You have to watch.
Like, back up. Like every guy in there is trying to.
Yeah, you have.
Everybody in there is seeing these guys that could never get the girls they're dancing with, and they're like, "How did that fucking happen?" Right? And so Brad's like, "I gotta learn these fucking skills."
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
how I mean, that's exactly what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So I don't think it's creepy at all. Here's the fucked up part about it: is like I would go out there and then like this guy's having a seizure, right? Like how do I learn that skill? How do I learn that?
But the line kept growing, man. People were still waiting to get in line to dance with Scotty, though.
No, not anymore.
But I would get to Dallas nightclub early to watch all the older people dance.
Oh yeah.
And I think that had
makes sense.
Something to do with like
Your dancing is
style.
very old school. I was
you know,
That's the best kind though, because you can do it when you're old.
yeah.
Like I will say, sometimes you watch people dance, and they are a little wild, and you go, "You're not going to be able to do that when you're
He
70."
ain't making it past 35.
Okay, so Brad, is officially your turn. Our categories that are left are the bad, reflection, and tough questions.
Let's go reflection for 10, Alex.
Okay.
These are going to be the deep ones.
I'm not looking forward to tough questions.
Yeah, no. If you had to sacrifice one nipple, which one would it be?
I don't use them for anything. Take them
Luckily,
both.
I got 3.
So obviously these reflection questions are they're not like linked, but I mean, it would be cool to hear both y'all's perspective on this particular thing. So either one of y'all can go first, right? What are you still unlearning?
You're up.
He just automatically is like, Matt, go ahead.
Unlearning.
I can tell you. You want me to start with mine?
I think I have an idea, but yes, I do.
I am still unlearning that not everybody is going to do shit the way I want to do it.
Okay.
And and not in a way of like that interferes with my life at this point, or like that someone feels in a certain way, but like in a level of like internally, I have to keep reminding myself that not everybody's going to do things the way I want to do it. And that means nothing about them and means nothing about me.
Right.
I mean, well, it actually means more about me, but like me solving that just makes my life better and their life better.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yep. This is hard for me because one of the things that I always talked about, like when I would give golf lessons and teach, I never, ever, ever wanted to talk in the negative. So if I never wanted to say like, hey, well, let's not do this, it was always an affirmative or a positive, kind of a positive verb, like do this, do that. Or even I never wanted to talk in that negative, not meaning bad, but just in the whatever the actual word is, but also a less less aggressive, right? So a lot of the times you would just, for example, you would see spin out where people's hips would just spin way too fast. I would never tell them to slow their hips down. I would tell them to speed up another part of their body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
Positive affirmation.
Yeah, kind of. So like do this, and instead of, because hey, slow that down is still, hey, don't do it so fast, right? So but it's only 50% in my book, because they can slow it down, but then what are they comparing it to?
Well, I mean, you're basically you're using a theory of is a glass half empty or half full,
Kind of.
and you're just always saying half full.
Kind of. So,
but I think that's excellent.
So like when it comes to what am I still trying to unlearn, I'd always try to frame it of like, what am I trying to learn? But I think if I had to pick something, I'm trying to unlearn that stuff that happened or that I did does not have to be a part of who I am now.
Nope.
I'm trying to unlearn that. Like that is what happened, and this is something completely different. So I think that's what I'm trying to unlearn.
Well, I think a lot of people find identity in what has happened to them.
Yeah.
But what defines you now is what you do now.
Right.
And so, you don't, just because your parents did drugs, you don't have to do drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think some people think it almost makes more sense. Like if your parents did drugs, somehow you get addicted to drugs.
Right.
This makes sense. Well, how much of that did you just manifest
kind
yourself?
Of fabricate and cop out.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, Brad, what are you unlearning?
Let's see. For me, I'm a very analytical person. I always say that everything that I do has a reason behind it.
I think that's good.
And what I need to unlearn is the fact that if I make a decision and others don't jive with it or others don't agree with it, I have to be okay with that. Because in my mind, I'm like, trust me, I'm right. I've thought about this. I know, and especially when it comes to engineering decisions, but sometimes personal stuff or just the way I think, I'm like, I've already gone through this in my head and I don't want to take the time to slow down and bring you back up to speed. And I think that's just doing everybody else a disservice. And it makes me not communicate well, thinking that like I'm already at the answer and you're not there yet type thing. So I need to be able to slow down, get on the same page as other people. And if I want them to understand where I'm coming from, like communicate that better.
Could I interject real quick?
Yeah.
I personally think the best way to do that is when you have an idea, you already know what's inside your fucking head, right? So you need to ask questions of the person you're talking to find out what's inside their head.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then that way you can communicate your shit. Does that make sense? Because if you don't know what they're thinking, you don't know how to communicate your thoughts to them, right? But that requires you being a good listener as well, because you have to take in all the information and go, now I have to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And the hard part is not asking questions that lead them to get them to where you want them.
Well, so,
that's the hard part.
Like there's a strategy in these conversations where if you understand your opponent's opposition or like why they're opposed to your idea or why they think differently, and you can show them how your side addresses those holes that they're trying to fill with their idea, maybe.
I think that's a compromise, right? That makes a compromise, right? On some level?
Almost. When it comes to technical decisions, people have reasons on both ends. And if you can show somebody that your way actually solves all problems, then you win, right? Or if you can dissuade them from the reasons that they would bring against you. Because a lot of times when people are, let's say, presented with a new idea, normally your first reaction is to kind of reject it. That's new, that's different, I might not like it. But if you know the reasons why they don't like it, you can come prepared to persuade them why they should.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in that position as a person, you have a lot of responsibility to be really like team friendly.
Yeah.
Oh,
because if any part of that's for you,
yeah.
Now that becomes a whole different. That becomes manipulation.
Yeah,
right?
for sure,
Exactly
for
right.
sure.
So you have to But I think your partner, if you're coming from a place that's like again authentic and like, hey, I'm here for the team, your partner will feel that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to get mad at somebody when you feel like they're on your side.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Oh yeah, framed in a relationship context, I don't think this point works very well. This works much better in like a professional setting where.
Well, in a professional, 1+1 is always 2, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, he has that analytical mind. Did you not hear that part?
Exactly right.
All right. So, Matt, I mean, you know,
I'll do the bad.
hey, God bless Brad. He left you with like the bad and tough questions.
I'll do the bad. I'll make him pick tough questions, even though I just picked it for him.
Look, I don't think that any of this is really hard if you want to be honest. If you're not honest, this shit's really hard. But,
Right.
You know. Have you ever told someone you love them, but you did not mean it? And if so, why? So now this doesn't put you on a bind with each other. This is just a general question.
No.
I know I've told people I love them and I didn't know that I didn't mean it at the time, but retrospectively looking back, I definitely didn't mean it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't
Oh, I did. Yeah, I think so.
know.
But you know what? Matt's the kind of guy that he would only say I love you if he really meant it, I feel like. Is that fair?
Yeah. Cause I'm trying to think of like all of the above, family, dating, pre-dating, all that. I'm trying to, if there is one, it's not coming in front of mine.
You want to go?
Mine was mostly like, you go through some girlfriends that are fun or crazy or whatnot. And then you hit the first one that's sane that you like, that you're like, okay, you're rounding that corner where you're getting ready to be like, I could be ready for something. And maybe the words I love you get said, and then that gets broken off like pretty early, and you go, oh man, did I even mean that?
Yeah.
Like there was a situation where I'm pretty sure we were saying it and I got dumped and the relationship wasn't that old. And at the end of it, it's just like, was I just saying that to say that? Because I was ready to kind of start trying to make those next steps,
Well, I've never thought about it from this angle, but maybe it's a little bit of manifestation.
Yeah, the way that he was saying it, you almost used it as like a gateway. Like this is the gate if we're going to move to the next level or not, instead of being a genuine, not genuine, but yeah.
Because like as a guy, you go through a lot of your life just not being ready to commit to any kind of marriage thing. But as soon as it clicks in your head, you're like, well, then I love the person that I'm going to be in the relationship with because you're ready for that, even though that might not have been the right fit.
Yeah.
Speaking from a person that's divorced in the room, I don't think what you're not saying is true, but I also think that you like sometimes you just think what you want to think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you believe what you want to believe, and that's sometimes why things like kind of don't like jive in the same pattern. You know what I mean?
Pursuing knowledge can change your belief. What we were talking about earlier.
You want to do one more in this? You want to get out of the bad, or what do you want to do?
Oh, that one wasn't so bad.
Oh,
okay, you want me
hit us with another one? I'll answer
bad.
first.
What was
okay? Look, there's one. You know what? Me and you are gonna. Me and you are gonna do one because I want to do one, but like
I'm gonna get
I think this
later.
I think this is I'm gonna cut all this shit out. I think this one would be good for you and Brad. Okay. Oh well, let's just do it. Maybe we can't air it. Well, we'll never know. Describe a time where you think you've seen me unhappy. So, Brad, describe a time where you think you've seen Matt unhappy, and vice versa.
I feel like I know it. Like I know there was a job transition there where you were feeling down. You didn't like what you were doing. You were looking for new stuff.
What did you do during that time, Brad? For
feel
him,
that.
Did you did you reach out to him? Like did you give him space? Like how to like. And when someone's having a hard time like that, like what do you feel like your obligation as a pretty good friend is to do?
I probably didn't do enough. I'll tell you that much. I'm sure I was definitely a sounding board. We had some conversations, but I don't think.
I asked him about work stuff, options, what was out there, and he was always available and helpful on like the job search type thing, or just bouncing ideas off of him. But
yeah, there's more to be done there, though.
It's still. I'm not a good liar. I'm a pretty terrible liar. So I don't hide. I can hide my face okay. But there are some easy tell signs when I'm like not. And it's not. what Brad's talking about is not like a bad day. You know what I mean? I don't, when you ask that question, I'm not thinking of like, oh, Matt stepped in a puddle and got his shoes dirty. You know, like I'm pretty unhappy, but it's like a trend or a season almost. So I don't hide those well. I can hide the incidentals, but I can't hide the seasons very well.
I think if someone is close to you and they love you, or they care, do they care for you in some way? It's pretty hard for you to hide anything.
Right. And
I mean, you kind of wear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even the situation, like even our relationship and friendship, there's still that. A lot of it has to come back to, let's say, to me to be like, dude, this is what's going on. He can't just kick the door in, right? So
I'm definitely not one of those people.
Yeah, he's not a door kicker.
I'm one of those people who, even if I sense it, I'm not going to push. Unless I know it's serious, right?
Right.
Then when somebody's got to talk about something and you got to make them. But for the most part, I'm somebody who says, you will be as open with me as you let yourself.
Yeah.
And I'll adjust to the level that you're comfortable with.
Yep.
You know what's really weird is like I totally can feel that, right? Like I totally kind of feel that thing. But also like
from Brad, you mean?
No, just in general, like
Okay.
the idea of that, but also in this next question that like I'm going to ask you, this is me kicking your fucking door in.
Right. And now that we kind of brought this up, I'm actually coming to the realization that I don't keep many door kickers very close to me. And that might be like a hidden, like kind of defense mechanism.
Then what am I doing over here? Like kicking in your doors?
This is a new thing for you.
No, but I mean, so that's why I kind of said, like, I can feel where Brad's coming from.
Yeah.
But on some level, maybe this is pompous, but on some level, as your friend and someone that cares about you, I feel like because I feel like a pretty decent perspective on these kinds of things, it's my responsibility to engage you in a way that gets you to think about how to be the best version of yourself. Not that it doesn't matter to me at all.
Right.
I don't care. Do whatever you want, right? But like as your friend, I don't want to see you fail. I want to see us all rise. I want to see us all do good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so if there's something that I can do that will make that happen, like why wouldn't I do that? This is part of my world.
Right.
Hippie.
Yeah, right.
I will say one thing about not being a door kicker. It almost invites others to talk to you.
A
lot of times I'm just impressed by the things people tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you felt comfortable enough to tell me that?
That's why I asked you if you were specifically talking about Brad, and I'm glad you said that, because Brad just has this air of like he's just ready for whatever. Like, lay it on me.
Tell me
good,
anything.
Bad, and indifferent. Like he's ready for it.
Yeah.
And he just has that air about him where he's like, we can handle this. We can handle it.
I'm always shocked where I'm like, you trust me that much, buddy? Not that I'm going to do anything negative or, I'm not to be trusted, but it's one of those things where if you don't push, it almost invites people in, but only when they're ready,
Yeah.
And that's the kicker right there, is that sometimes people do need a kick in the ass to be ready or to face a challenge or to do something like that.
Yep.
But I got to be real close to you to do something like that.
And being the person that doesn't try to pull that stuff out, you're forcing them to kind of like evaluate their ego. Because every dude has done this. You'll kind of like, you'll be in a bad mood, but you'll ramp it up to get the attention of someone or a couple people. And when they're not giving that to you, you're like, why aren't they?
I'm fucking pissed. Can you not tell
me? I'm doing this to get you to ask me what's wrong, and you're not doing it. And then so it kind of checks your ego. And then when you go to someone like Brad is like, if you need something, you'll come to me. And it just forces them to check their ego a little bit. Like, all right, Brad cares, but I'm being an idiot.
And that's the thing though. Guys don't share, right?
Yeah.
That's the stereotype. Guys don't share. Guys don't talk.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna let you answer this about me first, and then I'm gonna go.
When you've been
No. Oh, okay. I got another question for you. Hang tight, Brad. All right.
And I'm answering this about you.
Yes.
Got it.
What is one negative character trait I need to work on? If you say nothing, I'm gonna come over there and kick you in the penis.
He'll kick my door in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, I feel the only thing that's coming to mind, and this could be just like the therapy journey that you're on, is not everything has to have like a reason, if
Why
that
not?
makes sense. And I'm probably not saying this very well, but like sometimes stuff just happens. You know what I mean? And it's so I don't believe in coincidence, but I
Oh
do
we talked about that.
but I do believe in things can happen separate from other things, right? So everything it plays a part in the long run in the story.
Could I rebuttal?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So in your world, things happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in my world, things happen for a reason.
Yeah,
Now, Brad, where would you like to live? Would you like to live in a world where nothing happens?
I knew
Or
I
would you like
wasn't.
to live in a world where things happen like, oh my God, that's kind of cool. Like my world is special.
Yeah.
Where would you like to live?
Yeah, I can tell you what I subscribe to in that line of thinking. I think that you make your luck, or you drive where you're going.
You have some input on
I
that.
come from a level of like, I control what happens.
Ooh.
I do.
I knew I wasn't explaining what I was trying to say very well.
Okay.
Either. Yeah.
Go. I'm listening.
Well, it's just I will.
You got a specific example? Throw it at me, bro.
But I will try to fix what I said.
Go. Hey, that dumbass video you posted the other day where you said blah blah blah.
No, it's the not that everything needs a reason or an explanation, but it might not always be like necessary. So just something simple. We're like, oh God, that sucks. And you'll kind of do the like, well, why'd that happen?
Meaning like you don't have to probe everything.
Yeah. You know, like there are.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, kind of. Where it doesn't, like if someone at work made me mad, well, where was your headspace and where was their headspace and what were they doing and what were you doing? And have you guys talked about this kind of thing before? It's like, no, man, he just,
Do you know why?
he just scuffed his shoe on the wall.
Do
Like,
I know why? Do I know why? You know why I ask you those questions?
Because I'm not thinking about them.
No, because you're wasting time being mad. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
the more
that's a good
you can
point.
process those ideas around those like simple shits you get mad about,
Mhm.
you can stop wasting time getting upset that Jose fucking scuffed his shoes on the wall or
Yeah.
whatever you're saying, and just go on with your fucking life.
Right.
Like you're like while you think that your history or your story matters, it doesn't matter to shit like where you are right now.
Right.
Right. So like any kind of thing that gets you stuck and not moving forward as the world is moving forward is just a waste of your fucking time.
Yeah.
So like when I try to find like meaning and stuff, it's this is gonna sound dick, but it's kind of like shit's kind of boring. Like life in general is kind of fucking boring.
Well, when you're lifing at our level, it can be pretty monotonous.
But that's just like
Well, I think you're
Go
saying
ahead.
like if everything's like a zero-sum game and you're like, nobody's doing anything to make you mad on purpose, things happen so you don't have to hang on to that. Without those spikes, those ups and downs, it does seem almost flatline where you're like, look, somebody scuffing their shoe on their wall wasn't to spite me. It was just an occurrence that I'm choosing to be mad at. Then most of life, if chosen to be viewed that way, is kind of like a straight line.
let me
Yeah.
let me just break it down like this. Okay, so I was driving the other day, right?
Why did I have to answer this question, by the way?
You want? I can go. You mean go to your answer? I mean tell you. Like we're getting to you. You just hold on. So I'm driving the other day. I'm in the right hand lane. Okay, and I need to get over to the left hand lane because I'm going to go under an overpass and turn left, like onto the feeder, right? So as I'm trying to get over, there's this like shit ass car, little car, like, and he's kind of hauling ass, and I kind of cut him off. Like, I mean, my truck's kind of big, and I kind of cut him off, right? And like he's on my fucking ass, and I was like, God damn, like this guy's like kind of fucking pissed or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So he pulls into this lane, and then I'm like, this son of a bitch is now pulling up next to me, right? So then we get under the overpass, and the motherfucker just like takes off like erratically weaving in and out of fucking traffic. And I was like, none of that had to do anything with
Right.
me.
Exactly right.
Right.
Yep.
But I could have made that about me. And then when he like drove off, I could have been like, fucking crazy bastard. But like none of that's about me. That guy drives like a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how I try to view everything. So when in my defense, when I'm processing something, it's just going like, well, how much is that really me?
Right.
Because it's a real shitty place to run around thinking that you have that much fucking power. Because hey, guess what? You don't.
Right.
It's very little.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're a man of God, you understand this. You have very little power.
Very little.
So, so here's my 2 cents about you. And I've told you this before, and this part might get cut out. We'll never know. I want you to stop talking shitty about yourself. I'm tired of it.
I heard you were talking about me on Hannah's podcast.
Yeah,
I know you were. I know you were.
What did I say? What did I say?
You were like, I'm just doing this thing where like I won't let my friends say bad things.
And
about...
he knew it was him. That's how much he knew. That's how much
you said I just talked to a buddy of mine, and I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
I know for sure it was me.
And so like you were talking about how you positively like affect these, like when you were coaching golf. Like you should be telling that shit to yourself.
Yeah.
Like that's the way you should be talking to yourself, in a way of like, hey, like I'm worth something. Like I wouldn't have you at my fucking house if you weren't. You know what I mean? I wouldn't actually come back and do a podcast twice.
Right.
This guy was upset we didn't talk for like 5 hours.
That's because he didn't find the stuff I stole the last time. Yeah, no idea.
All right. So we're down to tough questions. Not that this is.
Ooh.
Brad hasn't answered like the last two though.
Have you been skipping answers, Brad?
No, y'all just traded one.
He didn't.
That's why I didn't jump into that
traded
one.
I know, but he didn't. I didn't get to answer the time where he was unhappy or whatever.
You can pick on me.
Okay, when's the last time you saw Brad unhappy?
Oh my God, I know your answer.
When him and Gabby got in a fight on my birthday.
Yes, I remember that night.
Where did we start? It was in between wherever we started in the hibachi place. Or no, you got in a fight at the house, still came to the hibachi restaurant.
Pissed.
And then, so this is what I was saying, even from the very beginning, they have always fought well. Apparently, they had a knockdown drag out at the house before they came out from my birthday.
So rough.
Yeah.
Those nights are rough,
And
dog.
we went out.
And they still came to the hibachi place, and they didn't speak to each other, and they didn't speak to anyone at the table. I think Brad cracked a smile when the guy did the shrimp flipping and the choo-choo onion flaming tower thing, and that was it. And then we get to the bar, because I think you guys left.
We went home.
Yes.
Worked it out.
Yep. Because they did. I'm pretty sure they
out.
left the restaurant before anyone else. And then we get to the bar and like, well, they should have been here by now.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, well. And then they walk in and they were cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, guys. And it was cool. Everything was fine.
Yep. Oh,
Everything
man.
was fine.
100%.
But
That was the time.
I mean, haven't we all been there? Like, isn't that like that's? I mean,
Bro, Dems was mad.
That was but we were early, right? Like we were early and we were still figuring it out.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, I remember that. I couldn't tell you what it was about.
Yeah, you usually
no
can't.
clue. But I remember that
Usually
Yeah.
can't.
it was a big one. Whatever it was. It was stupid, whatever it was, I'm sure.
The other
he doesn't even remember.
The other three questions so far, I could have like let it slide, but I was like, no,
Yeah,
I
tell
got
that one.
I have to
Thanks,
do that
buddy.
one.
Look at this guy.
Have to do that one.
Okay. So these are tough questions. We're gonna try to do like a little rapid fire, maybe 3 of them, just see how it goes. And I can join in if you want me to. Okay. Brad, what is something you don't understand about Matt?
Sometimes your humor.
I think that's fair.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I will say we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in the world, and I've become more aware of it, so I do now do it on purpose. But in the past, I didn't know. I will say something, and I genuinely do not care if you think it's funny. So now I'll say something to work. I'm like, that one was for me. And I'll just die. No one will laugh. And I'm about to pee my pants. I'm like, that one was for me.
What's something you don't understand about Brad?
His job. I don't understand I don't understand how someone's brain can work in zeros and ones. And I don't get it. I don't understand it.
Oh man.
I don't understand it.
Matt, what is the saddest moment of your life?
Saddest moment of my life probably was when my grandmother died.
Yeah.
When I was a kid. Yeah. That was probably that's
a
up there.
tough one.
That's up there.
Brad, what's your saddest moment of your life?
I don't know if it's the saddest, but actually something happened this week. You always have that one teacher.
Yeah.
He passed away
Oh, dang.
at 64,
That's too early.
cancer. And
rough. Yeah.
it was one of those teachers who propelled me into the job that I have today.
Was this UT?
This was back in high school.
High school.
So it was very like formative in that sense.
Yeah.
My friends always hung out in his room. He was a physics teacher, but he was just like an evangelist for all things, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And so you know, I was like smart or whatever, but I never thought I could go be an engineer, go be a software developer. So he was one of those teachers. And yeah, it hit me pretty hard this week. Me and a buddy got on the phone. We're like, we're just gonna sit around and remember.
Yeah.
Sitting in his classroom, hanging out. Sad. Didn't think it would tear me out that much.
Do you remember when we talked about that on the first one, where I was like, dudes know when they're gonna cry, and then like that thing happens, you're like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah, this one was.
I didn't know it was gonna.
It was
happen.
more of a surprise, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Brad, what do you think Matt's purpose is in your life? To tell you bad jokes?
To bring humor that you don't understand.
To bring your humor that you don't understand.
I don't know. I think a lot of people have the same purpose, and I think it's just to broaden your horizons, bring patience and understanding. Like, I think that's like any good friend. When you go through stuff, or the longer you're friends, it just develops your sense of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of why you're here, you know? So no matter what I don't understand about you, it's mostly just about figuring that out.
Yeah.
And, you know, like getting closer as time goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, been around for 10 years, so
Right.
shit.
How about you, buddy?
I would say Brad and Brandon both. They're like, because we're the three of us are very similar in stages of life, age, stages of life, that kind of deal. They're kind of my litmus test of like how I'm doing, husband, dad, that kind of stuff. Brad and Brandon, husband and dad at a very elite level. And I definitely, when I hear them talk about things that have recently happened, maybe in my marriage or in my parenting life, and I was like, ugh, I handled that a little differently. So like I use them as like a litmus test of kind of how I'm doing.
I think it's good to have people that are kind of doing the same thing you do, that it's in anything, right? Like you're playing softball together or whatever the hell, like, you know, like it's good to have people doing the same thing and discuss and talk and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. Before we wrap this up, do either one of y'all fuckers have any questions for me at all? Ask me fucking anything.
Can I ask Brad a question?
Oh, just like why he didn't want to do my podcast and he thought I was going to try to change his life as a life coach.
No, I interrupted the humor thing. What were you going to say about the humor thing that you don't get?
Sometimes your jokes just don't land with me, and I'm like, what's he getting at here?
It's because he's a ones and zeros brain guy, and I'm not.
Yeah.
you gotta go there with me sometimes.
Sometimes Matt will send me like a meme or a video or something like that, and I'm like, come on, Matt. Like this is obviously like a setup. Like they got you on this one. You know what I mean? But like it's almost like Naked Gun or like, you know, one of those movies.
Yeah.
Like it's like to him, it's like, even though it's a setup, it's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, come on, Matt.
Yeah. So I think my humor, there's two aspects to my humor. One, I have the brain of a 7-year-old. So the fart jokes,
I'm good. Yeah, but
funny.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
But there's also part of my personality is I speak in story. So like I can, because I know where the story's going and you don't, I can almost pretend like you do. And then when the fart joke comes, even though fart jokes are funny, you're like, you lost me back at where was the tractor trailer again?
Right.
Yep.
Well, thank you fellas for doing this. I appreciate it.
This is good. This is fun.
Awesome.